Today then, the Cabinet hiked the fair and remunerative price for sugarcane for the marketing year starting October. The new floor price has been fixed at 275 rupees per 100 kilograms, which is an increase of 20 rupees from the previous season. The FRP is the minimum guaranteed price that farmers can get for their sugarcane crop. The states, however, have the freedom to fix a higher price, and Manisha Gupta is standing by with two special guests to decode these developments for you. Manisha, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Ritu. If you look at the exact numbers, keeping everything stagnant really, from 255 for 9.5% recovery, we actually have it at 261.25 for 9.5% recovery. 275 is actually for 10% recovery, and that really changes the maths. So even as the government says that from the cost of production, it is a 77.4% of a rise is what they are giving. In totality, it actually doesn't come more than 3 to 4% as compared to previous year. Abinash Verma, DG ISMA, now joins us to really decode those numbers for us. Abinash, hi. First of all, it isn't much of a change when you look at the 9.5% recovery from previous year. I do understand that given the current circumstances, any number or any rise for the industry is not so good. But what is your sense on the payment to the farmers? What was the industry giving last year, and what is the figure for this year now?
Yes, thank you, Manisha. First of all, there is a small increase, and as you mentioned, about 6 to 7 rupees per quintal of sugar cane. That is number one. But if you really look at the total quantum of sugar cane that we crushed last year and that we expect to crush next year, as we mentioned that the expected sugar production next year would be about 35 to 35.5 million tons, which is higher as compared to the current season of about 32.2 million tons. So obviously the sugar cane crushing is going to be much higher. So if I really talk about the numbers, in the current season, the total FRP payable by us to the farmers was around 84,000 crore. But next year, if we are looking at crushing almost 325 million tons of sugar cane, the total outgo on account of cane price will be 97,000 crore or FRP. Clearly a big increase of 13,000 crore on account of only FRP payable to the farmers. Number one, because of the increase, that small increase that you mentioned on account of FRP. And number two, the big increase on account of the sugar cane crushing.
Well, absolutely. And with the kind of, with these kind of numbers, what are the arrears that stand right now? What has been the government measures impact to the industry? And what are you expecting with the industry, the way it stands right now, with the kind of sugar output numbers that we're looking at? What, let's not say arrears, but what you are going to pay to the farmers, the realizations, etc. How have you done that maths?
First of all, the arrears as on 30th June was still more than 18,000 crore. I believe it should be about 18,200 crore.
Okay.
If I compare that with the last two seasons of June 2017 and June 2018, I would say it's almost about 4 times higher. It was around 4,500 to 4,800 crore in each of the last June 30th in 2018, and so 17 and 2016. So the cane price areas are still very, very high. Now, if you ask me about the next season, I'm really very worried because 97,000 crore is on account of production of 350 lakh tons or 35 million tons of sugar. But we will be selling just about 260 lakh tons in the domestic market. So therefore, 90 lakh tons will remain unsold in the whole of 12 months from October to September next season. So therefore, as an outgo of 97,000 crore on account of FRP, but an inflow, if I take the average sugar price of 30 rupees, which the government is guaranteeing a minimum price of 29, I say the total income to the sugar mills on account of sugar will be 78,000 crore. So 97,000 crore of cane price payment and 78,000 of revenue from sugar is almost 19 to 20,000 crore clearly the sugar mill will lose on account of sugar alone next season.
Doesn't sound like a good number at all, but let's take in one more word from Mr. Manickam of Sakthi Sugars, really. Mr. Manickam, hi, thank you so much for joining us. What is your initial reaction to the increase in FRP? And, with all the numbers that we are working with in sense of arrears, with the crop output estimates for the next year, and of course, the exports which have been quite dismal, how would you really take in these maths?
Actually, Manisha, the FRP increase is one, and secondly, the state-advised prices. If you look at UP, their price was something like 3,200. Now I don't know what they're going to land on there.
Right.
So that's very high price, which given the incentive for UP farmers to plant cane and produce, and as well as Maharashtra. So these two states will have to turn back on the cane price, whether they stop the state governments from advising a price, or in fact our request was actually to reduce the FRP or at least keep it constant. So from that point of view, it's a disappointment. And having something like 150 lakh tons of sugar in stock, it's not really going to help anybody. We can actually give holiday for the industry for 1 year. So we'll have to wait and see. The government has to really decide whether they want to have so much of sugar. And I don't think anybody in the world is going to import sugar, because we might try to export it with subsidies, and that has to be WTO compatible. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to have everybody fighting their tooth and nail to oppose this kind of export.
So if you really had to make a presentation to the government, what would that really be from the sugar industry? What is it that you would want to ask for?
I would say get an ordinance and get all the states to ban announcing SAP first. And second thing is, tone down or keep the FRP at the same level for next 3 years, so that until the production matches the consumption. Because Indian sugar is the most expensive sugar in the world market today for production. So I don't think we'll be able to compete and export in the world market. We can be a marginal player. We can't be a major player like Brazil. So that would be the major request.
Abinash, the same question to you really. What is your next presentation going to be the government now? Because we do understand that the ministers are meeting a lot of global partners to ensure that the Indian sugar is exported in various countries. Do you really see that happening? I mean, how is the costing onto that one?
Yes, Manisha. The most important thing is to reduce our stock balance, the inventory. If we do not export, the fear is that we will land up with about 19 million tons of sugar balance as on 30th September 2019. Therefore, we need to export and export the maximum possible 6 to 7, 8 million tons. I don't know how much logistically it is possible. The question or the difficulty is not on the buying front. We are finding enough buyers to buy if we are able to match the world price. And the problem is a very volatile domestic market, because the government has again taken over the system of quota release, monthly quota. 1 month it was 21 lakh tons, another month it was 16 lakh tons. So with a very volatile market, domestic market, people are not offering sugar for exports. Nobody is entering into a long-term contract. So that release quota mechanism has to go very fast and as soon as possible. And we need to find ways to export the sugar even at losses. For that, we have submitted to the government that even if the minimum price of the sugar, which was fixed at 29, if they can increase it to 29 to 30, 33 to 35, then probably we'll be able to take some losses on our exports.
So what kind of losses are we really talking about here?
If the domestic prices currently is about 30, the world prices offered is about 20.5. About 10 to 11 rupees per kilo of sugar is the loss.
And the cost of production is?
35 rupees. So as compared to cost of production, the loss is 15 rupees. As compared to domestic prices, it's about 10, 11 rupees.
All right. So this way or that way, clearly the industry is in a big soup. That is, of course, thank you so much, Abinash and Mr. Manickam, for joining us and really decoding those whole numbers for us. So clearly the increase in FRP hasn't gone down well with the industry. The arrears are expected to increase. And even if the exports happen, would be at a loss. So clearly nothing positive to take out from that.
All right, Manisha.